Alright, we are back at Juni Roundhouse. I was expecting that call eventually. It was an important call for me to take, so I just had to pause. But here we are, Juni Roundhouse, looking at it from above. It's still in use today, mainly to store and maintain locos, so we'll definitely have a look there a little bit later on. Let's see what happens. We'll be with Santi on 48.26. So there's 48.26. Oh, there's a couple of steam locos there as well. So what we'll try and do, and this one will be a quick one, navigate to Alright, it says that mission failed. So for anyone who hasn't seen a turntable before, these were especially common in the steam era and early diesel era. And so you could have a whole heap of locos stored. This is called a roundhouse. So what I'm operating in the middle of the screen is the turntable. So you have to line up the track that you're on with the track on the turntable. One more. Two more. So now, oh no, one more. So we're now fully lined up. So just drive on it slowly. So it's really important to have your loco as centrally located on the turntable as possible. There were some turntables that were manually operated, some converted to power operation later on. It's also a really good way of turning the engine around. And the best use I saw of a turntable, which the public could actually see, was at a railway museum in Japan, and they had a steam loco on the turntable, and they rotated it all around so people could see all the from all the different angles and that sort of thing. So that's quite cool in this sort of way. And as with anything with Trainz, you've got to be really careful how you position your mouse. So if, for example, we want to move the loco into a different track, into a different house. So in the roundhouse is where they're stored. So having a look in the cab's probably the best way to have a look. So you can park locos inside. So it's all good. So we've had a brief look at GD Roundhouse. Gus. Where's Gus? Let's have a look at... So Gus is on another light engine somewhere. He's in 48157. So we'll see where we can navigate Gus to. Let's just get him in the general direction of the fuel depot for now. So Gus is on the move on that distinctive sound of a 48 class. There were actually 165. Okay, that side. 165 units of the 48 class in total. And as I mentioned earlier, they're a shunting loco and also for branch lines. I did also find out I did also look, by the way, this map that we're running is set in the 1980s. There's another version of the map that I'll be using a little bit later, which is set in the mid-2000s or in the mid-2000s. So I think it's 2008 from memory. So waiting for the signal. Line ahead is occupied by another train. So that's 48157. So we'll see how that goes a little bit later. What we'll do while we're here, because I had to restart, we'll go back to our original ones and just get them to navigate somewhere so they can we can check on them a little bit later. So Louise in the VR T402 is back on the move. We'll move this driver and we'll just get them to navigate on 42238, which sounds so wrong just saying it. Let's see, Willie on G511. We'll get them to go towards Henty. Dave on 4:44.25. We did see Dave a little bit earlier. The Edinburgh Rail Hub. Alright, Gus is waiting to go to the fuel depot. Moira is on 48.146. Where are they? Oh, they're actually on a train. A small container train. So where can we get them to navigate to? Get them to go to the Rock. And we've got 48.112. Where are they? So we'll give them a command as well. Okay. Rail Motor 3 from VR. We'll set them up and move, and then we'll go and have a look at head them towards the broad gauge platform at Albury. So we'll have a look at that in a moment. 42251, that number just does not exist. We'll get them to go to somewhere as well. We'll have a look where all these people are shortly. Get them to head towards Henty as well. Y119, a Victorian shunting loco, driven by some guy called Eric. Get them to navigate somewhere on the broad gauge network. We'll get them to go to a cattle race somewhere. Multiple pickups and drop-offs. Vaughan on X54. A Victorian loco. We'll have a look at these locos, etc. in a moment. Chiltern broad gauge platform. Philippi on 48.47. Navigate to Albury platform 1. Oh, there's so many here. Philippi is on 48.47. So that's a New South Wales. Okay, we'll get them to go to Albury as well. Sean is on a Victorian C-Class C502, which has become very popular with enthusiasts in all sorts of different colour schemes, in all sorts of different locations where they never were before. Still going strong, the big C-Class. A 73 class. And there weren't 73 of the 73 class locos. As that's a New South Wales engine, a shunting loco we'll have a look at in some details. We'll just send them in the general direction of Henty for now. Oh, steam train. Yes, we're definitely going to do that. A Victorian steam train, R707. And we'll navigate them towards the broad gauge platform at Albury. Alright, so let's go through the list and we'll get the people who are operating and we'll have a look and see how they're going. This is Louise that we were watching a little bit earlier. On her T-Class 402. That side's probably better for the sun. Oh, there's a platform. Now, Victorian signalling is different from New South Wales signalling. I'm not going to try and explain it at this point. There are YouTube videos that people have done. So let's sit back and watch some Victorian broad gauge action for the moment. Going backwards, maybe doing some shunting. I'm pretty sure we shouldn't be going backwards like this, but this is what the command said to do, so, and because I didn't say we'll navigate to here, then change ends, or run around, blah 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 blah, that's why it's doing it like it is. It's just following the commands that was given. We did change this one to 42 42201 before. Oh, it's doing track speed of 115. There's a lot of double track running on the south of New South Wales, some bi-directional sections as well. So we really haven't got our line side camera working yet, but it's such a big map. It's like 400 kilometres of trains. Let's see how Dave is doing in 4425. Dave actually had a train. 44231 and 4425. Also doing track speed of 100. Oh, these are CPHs. He's not going to get to a broad gauge platform. He's not going to be able to get up to a broad gauge platform. We'll navigate to. I thought it was a Victorian rail motor. So the CPHs, I can tell you some stories about some CPHs. I actually am also a volunteer with a Heritage Railway Society who run CPHs. Haven't had a driver one yet, but great experience to be able to go on one. Want to go to the standard gauge platform at Albury. And here we go, the CPHs. The CPHs are over 100 years old in most cases now. So they can run as single units. These days they run often in pairs or in threes. Interesting to note here, I'll just zoom in quickly. So this is probably the best way to illustrate it. On the top there, I'll zoom back because of the noise. On the top, either side of the headlight, you may be wondering what that actually is. And they're actually the radiators, either side of the headlight. They're actually the radiator. I'll zoom out again because of the noise. They're actually radiators. When the trains were first built, the radiators were put underneath the floor, but they were picking up too much gunk, dirt and grime from on the tracks, and so they were redesigned, and the radiators were actually put onto the roof, and they found that they were getting better cooling and whatnot from the radiators. So what this example has, and one thing that people try to avoid in the modern day, is having two radiators next to each other. So they try to avoid having two radiators next to each other. Because that can interrupt the airflow. Like if one radiator is basically taking all of the air, if they're close together. So on the front we have CPH1. What's that? Number 3 in the middle. So there's the CPHs. I'll go back because the engine noise is loud. So the CPHs there. I'm most familiar with 1, 3 and 7. This was their standard colour scheme for quite some years. I have actually downloaded some others, so I'm not sure if these are the actual units or not. But something very, very different here on Trainz. Oh, we're coming into Journey. Journey. There's the roundhouse on the left. Oh, we've got a passenger train, but I am certainly going to change that loco number right now because, as I mentioned earlier, there were not 51 members of the 422 class. Now, this is showing a different colour scheme. This is the candy colour scheme that came into being with the operation of the State Rail Authority, which the 81 class, for instance, were delivered in. This is actually not a bad lineup. So this is a loco hauled passenger train which would have been in existence definitely prior to the XPTs. Oh, this is epic. This route is epic and I haven't really been anywhere yet. So much work has obviously gone into this route. I wonder if this is the viaduct coming into Wagga. Now, I don't know the south as well as I do, say, know the north or know the west. I haven't done many interstate trips on the south. I remember it was one memorable trip that I took from Sydney to Cootamundra. XPT one way and Loco Haul passenger the other way. Before they brought in the Explorer service to Griffith. There used to be, before the Explorers to Broken Hill and Griffith, there was a three carriage Loco Haul train, usually hauled by 42220, that ran those routes, and you know, it was a different time entirely in the 90s when that stopped. But this is epic too. Really enjoying this route. Alright, 42201, slowing down, maybe coming to a station. Might zoom in a little bit. There are probably some people watching who know exactly where this is right now, but as I said a little bit earlier, my knowledge of the south isn't as strong as maybe the north or the west. This is more of an accurate route compared to what I was playing before, Donnybrook, which is a made-up map. This one is pretty sweet. Let's see. Oh, and there's a container in the way. Container train in the way. Oh, this is Wagga. Wagga, 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 Wagga. So nice they named it twice. And it's not actually going onto the platform road. Oh, that's hilarious. So what I am going to do, not just yet, but very soon, this episode we're going to finish with the trains that were included in the session. I've also found a later version where the trains are based in the 2000s, and then after that, you can actually set up, if you pay something like $100 a year, you can schedule your trains, and you've got a lot more control over your trains doing what they're doing now. Like, this train should have 100% stopped at Wagga, but because my instruction was go to Albury, that was the only instruction. Well, I didn't stop at Wagga, and I'm not gonna. But you can actually go through and say, okay, 42201. Let's start at Junee. Let's make sure that it stops at Wagga, Henty, The Rock, Calcan, whichever order that is, and then end up at Albury. Let's have a look at the C class. Oh, this is on the standard gauge, so I'm going to have to give them new orders. But this is the C class. Very powerful locomotive. Oh, this is in Albury. This is Albury. Okay. So that instruction's not going to really work. Let's send it to Calcan. Oh yeah, that's C-class goodness. Going. So it'll be interesting to compare, Albury now compared to Albury then. Of course, Albury at its most busiest when there was the breaking gauge between standard and broad gauge. Let's sit back and enjoy C502 heading towards Calcan. So this is now 73 class 7344. There were not 73 members of the 73 class built. Maybe this is also coming into Wagga. So the 73 class are a diesel hydraulic shunting loco. Yes, I know it's going the wrong way. Yes, I know it's going the wrong way, but this is R707. One of the famous Victorian R classes of steam locos. You might know 707, 711, and now in New South Wales, R766, which got converted to to standard gauge. And again, I'm pretty sure it's just a case of I didn't give it good directions. And here we have 8101, which is going to be basically stuck in the shed. Won't be able to go anywhere. 84 members of the 81 class were built. 8101 to 8180 was the first lot, and then there was a extra 4 locos built. Very much a popular locomotive, introduced in the 1980s. There were 20 units allocated to the Hunter Valley for Hunter Valley coal working. Found themselves going all over the state, passenger trains, freight trains, work trains. Still lots of them in service with Pacific National, but that is the original candy colour scheme. Where is this? Somewhere in Victoria, obviously. Oh, I wonder if this is Seymour. Let's have a look on the map. Let's have a look on the map. Is this Wodonga? Yep, this is Wodonga. So on the other side of the Murray River from Albury is Wodonga on the Victorian side. So commonly referred to as Albury Wodonga. It's common for people just to cross the river and cross into a different state, work on one side. There's some good looking locomotives there. I think that's an S-Class, the Bulldog there. Some of them are props. Oh, but this is awesome. I don't know that there were any reject shops or Bunnings in the 1980s though, but last time I went through Wodonga, which was some time ago, I don't think it looked like this, but this is awesome. So we'll finish off with CPHs. Not sure what they're waiting for. Oh, there we go. They're not waiting anymore. Another fun fact about... We'll go sideways, I think. Another fun fact about the CPHs is when they were introduced, they were petrol engines. And they later got converted to diesel. So we'll end on the CPHs on the next episode, as we zoom out a little bit so it's easier to hear me. On the next episode, we'll see if we can go forward in time from the 1980s to the 2000s and have a look for any difference, and then after that I'll start adding trains. Sit back, relax, enjoy the CPHs for a little bit. I've been Simulate Dirk, you've been wonderful. Thanks for watching. Ta-ta and farewell.